Galway is part of St Vincent de Paul, and our ethos is to tackle loneliness and isolation, and we've been doing this for the community of Galway since 2009. Galway translates as Heart of Galway, which perfectly sums up our location and how we work with people in Galway. Our Red Door is always open to the public, and it's a welcoming space. And from our St Vincent de Paul ethos, the people attending the centre can be isolated because of social, economic or personal circumstances. We raise awareness for older people around crime prevention, healthcare, and we work with men around physical and mental health issues, and we connect with families in the Direct Provision Centre through a homework club. We also do Fáilte conversation English classes, which is very, very important for integration, because without English language people can't get employment, they can't mix with people, and they can't socialise. I'm talking here about two very important projects. One, Mill Street Quilting, which is funded by the Galway 2020, and the other is Making Spaces project, which is funded by the Royal Astronomy Society through NUI Galway. And we're involved in this with Professor Andy Shears and Adriana Cardinat.
The Royal Astronomical Society in 2020 is celebrating its bicentenary. It was founded in 1820, and as part of that they funded about 10 programmes across the UK and Ireland to celebrate the kind of development of astronomy and trying to promote astronomy to different community groups.
You know the game where you press the button?
Making Space is a programme which is funded by the Royal Astronomical Society to promote astronomy to those community groups or those groups who traditionally wouldn't actually come across astronomy in a normal way. And we're working with Croí and Gaillimhe to work as part of their intergenerational project between secondary school students, last year with transition year students, and this year with students who are not in transition year but about the same age, with their intergenerational project. And they have an active retirement group with who come along every Tuesday and create an art project with the students.
My role as teacher is to bring 12 students down to Croí and Gaillimhe every Tuesday, where we take part in an intergenerational programme with older adults from Galway City and County. As part of this project, we are in collaboration with the School of Physics, NUI Galway and Galway 2020 project.
So the core of Making Space is about community-based project. So the Young Heart itself, they are established community-based project that has been running in the past years. So we decided to partner with them because, one, they had this program that was kind of aligned with our target group, which is reaching different communities. And in the same program, they reach let's say the older children and the younger children, which are the active retirement group, and they are from a variety of places in Galway, and also bringing together the secondary students, which are the ones that are still in school. They are like developing themselves and studying and starting planning the future.
We have students from various different ethnic minorities. We have some from the traveller community. We have students from Thailand. We have students from Romania. So some of the students' English is not their first language, so they have been able to communicate, non-verbally as well. And I think that's something that they've picked up from the older adults, that communication, it can be in many different forms.
So we also got helped with this through an artist called Finbar McHugh, and we covered with himself and Adriana astrophotography, galaxies, making tides and watercolours.
Today we're going to actually talk about how the tides are affected by the moon, and it brings it up, the spring tides. And what I want to look at is, have you ever noticed how on the edges of, say, down by the river and the sea, where you get the lines where the tide's going up and down, and it gives you these kind of beautiful marks that are left with bits of colour or kind of water stains. So what we're going to play with today is some inks and some colours.
This year we have someone who is more of a little bit of a street artist, having kind of he's painted the sides of lots and lots of buildings, and when he was first suggested, I loved the idea of the active retirement group with their spray cans graffitiing on the outside of buildings and then running away when the guards turn up. Get the two generations to talk to each other about something which they ordinarily wouldn't talk about, i.e. art and astronomy. And so far, it's been successful.
The experience with working with artists at first was very different. It was my first time working with artists, and it was a good way. For example, Finbar and Marcella, they bring different ideas, bring different approaches to the program, and approaches that me as a scientist didn't have a thought at first. So, for example, Marcella is using the quilting project to talk about astronomy and using the astronomy as a motivation for the quilting, which is an amazing idea, and I probably myself wouldn't think of that. So we do different art activities such as painting, drawing, modeling, writing, and even singing, who have been doing that as well. So every week they come and we do different art activities, and we use the astronomy as a starting point, and we brainstorm and we talk about several topics. So for example, in the last week we were talking about the orbits of the planet, which is the path that they make around the sun. So we were trying to investigate why do they follow that path, why are they there, why they are rotating, why they are revolving. So these are all questions that started to arise after we had these art activities. So the art activity that we had there was kind of a pendulum painting. So we literally had a pendulum with a kind of small bucket which had like a small hole in the bottom. So they could use the bucket and the pendulum itself to throw it from different directions, from different positions, from different speeds, and with different strengths as well. So they were seeing like the different paths that you can make with that.
The Mill Street quilting was delivered by Marcella Morgan, and it's about community quilting, and it involves ladies from all over the world in programs. So we decided to go with the 2020 themes of landscape, migration and language.
This quilt was about migration. That was the theme we were working on here, and our idea was to create almost different countries in the quilt. So you can see that like the quilt has 5 sections that are very different from each other, but we try to make them all work together using a grid, so that they feel like they have something in common, that there's a movement from one area of the quilt to the other. And then we stitch these birds on top, which show the migration from one area of the quilt into the other areas. So that was the idea behind what we're doing here. So we're just sewing the little flight paths of the birds now, using just a simple running stitch.
Good teamwork, yes, good teamwork. Yeah.
People think about the university as being kind of an ivory tower, and it's not for them. And what we want to show is that the university is for everybody. The kind of work which we're doing, we want to try and communicate in a way which is accessible to the whole community, not just to other scientists. So the Making Space program gives us an opportunity to talk to everybody, and that's why we're really pleased that we had quite a big community response to our initial call for taking part.
I think this has been a fantastic programme. The skills that the girls are learning have been very worthwhile. Their communication skills are increasing every day. I think there's an awareness as well of the respect now that they're gaining from the older adults. And there's also a sense of shared collaboration and shared information between the older generation and the younger generation. They're also developing great skills in terms of sewing and art and craft from the project.
So we're doing orange around there. I'll give you this kind of nice. Oh, you don't like that one? What about this one? Well, here.
Fill the whole thing with dots.
Yeah, no slacking now here. You've had your coffees.
Right, okay, gotcha.
The wall painting that they are doing today, we are investigating the color spectrum. So the color spectrum is very big, but we only see a small bit of that, and that's what we are investigating. And more than that, we also relate to how the temperature can vary from one color to another, because that's basically how we know which color is in the sky, if we can say like that.
There was challenges involved, and the challenges around designing the quilts was getting agreement from all present, because not everyone spoke English, and that was a challenge. We all have different cultural views, different views about different colours, about different designs, and different traditions, because we had many, many countries involved. One of the participants said, once you've tasted the taste of the sky, you will forever look up.